Hi, good morning students. Welcome back to the next section of classes. I hope you remember what we have studied in the previous class. So let us just see what were the main topic we have dealt with in the previous class. So as it is given here, the main thing what we discussed in the class was active and passive voice. Then part of that one or to verify what we have studied, and there were two other essential things what were needed for our class, and those things were transitive and intransitive. Then another thing, direct and indirect objects. So these are two supplementary parts actually what are essential to learn active and passive voice. So we did with, first of all we said active and passive voice, then we spoke about this one. The previous day we started with this sentence, online class helps students. Now in this sentence, if you notice, we see that it is given here, the form of the verb shows that the person denoted by the subject does something, therefore the verb help is said to be in the active voice. So we said how a sentence or verb becomes active voice. So we said online class helps students, subject, verb, object. Subject does something, online class, verb, it does something to the object, students. So therefore this sentence we set as active voice. Students are helped by online classes. In this sentence, the meaning of the sentence, the one we said in the previous sentence, both are exactly the same, but only the structural difference is there. Here, students are helped by online class. Previous sentence we said online class, that was the subject, now that subject has become the object of the sentence. So subject and object has just changed their order, and therefore here another essential thing what we need to do remember is that here the subject students is passive. Passive means, yeah, we can say that they do not do anything. Passive. Active student and passive students. I used to ask students or used to say that some students may become passive in the class. Just, I don't care, that attitude may be there. So here, so when we do something of that sort, that is, we are not doing anything, we are not becoming active, and we call it as passive. In the same way, here in the sentence, subject does not do anything, therefore the sentence was said to be passive. So when something is done by the object to the subject, or subject becomes the receiver of the action, sentence is said to be passive voice. That is mentioned here. So in this sentence, the form of the verb shows that something is done to the person denoted by the subject. Something is done to the person denoted by the subject. The verb helped is said to be in the passive voice. So the active voice is so called because the person denoted by the subject acts. It does something. So if it acts or if it does something, it is active voice. So the verb in the passive voice, when its form shows that something is done to the person or thing denoted by the subject. So when the subject denoted by the subject, it receives, or something is being done to the subject by the object, then that verb is said to be passive voice. So that is typically what we said about active and passive voice. We need to remember the main thing is that whether the subject does something or the subject receives something. If it does something, it is active, therefore it is active voice. If it receives something from the object, so it is passive voice. Now moving on to the next slide here. The boy kicks the ball. In this sentence, the action denoted by the verb passes over from the doer or subject boy to some object ball. Now what am I going to say here? So slightly different from what we said. Now it is transitive and intransitive verb, what we are speaking about. What is transitive and intransitive verb? What we said in the previous class? I hope you remember what it is. So this is exactly what we said. In this sentence, the action denoted by the verb. The action denoted by the verb passes over from the doer. The action has to move. What the action is doing? I slapped somebody. So if I slap on the bench, so it goes there. My action is going from me to that one. So same way, kicks the ball. The ball will move away from there because my action has got a reaction on that one. It moves from there. So it passes from the doer to the object. So one thing is very clear from there. Logically speaking, if it has to take place, there has to be an object. If there is no object, it cannot be a transitive verb. That is the most important thing what we need to keep in mind. So when we say a transitive verb or a sentence or a verb to be transitive, it has to be, it should have an object. If there is no object, the action cannot move from the doer to the object. So it is essential. In the same way, that is, if we take the other way, we can understand what is meant by passing with this intransitive verb. In intransitive verb, the action does not move from the doer to the object because there is no object. So if there is no movement of the action from the subject to the object, then the sentence is said to be an intransitive verb. The boy laughs loudly. In this sentence, the action denoted by the verb laughs stops with the doer or subject boy and does not pass over to an object. The verb laugh is therefore called an intransitive verb. As I said, it does not, it stops here. Laugh stops with the doer or the subject. It does not pass over to an object. So if it does not pass, it is said to be intransitive verb. So typically this is what actually we said about transitive and intransitive verb. What is transitive verb? How do we identify? Then we said intransitive verb. Intransitive verb does not move from the doer to the object. A transitive verb is a verb that denotes an action which passes over from the doer or the subject to an object. An intransitive verb is a verb that denotes an action which does not pass over to an object or which expresses a state of being. So there is a flow in this diamond, it's a state of being. The baby sleeps. None of these things, it moves from the doer to the object. Therefore, all these sentences are called, or the sentences we call it as intransitive. The verb is called intransitive. So this is something basically we said about in the previous class. So we will move on to the next topic for today. Today's topic, as you have seen here, it is very clearly mentioned here. What we are going to see is tenses. You know, tenses, this is one of the most important topic anywhere. If you are learning grammar, you can't imagine English without tenses. It's almost like the foundation of a building. how strong, how well you lay the foundation, so much better will be the existence of that building. How well you give the foundation for your grammar, how strongly firm is your knowledge of tenses, so much well will be your sentences. So tenses. So let's once again revise right from the beginning. So when we speak about tenses, three things comes in: present tense, past tense, future tense. So generally when we speak about, this is the order that we follow for the tenses. Present tense, what we are here at present, the present moment. So if we draw a line, you will see past will come here, present and future yet to come. Imagine you are traveling. So if you are traveling, okay, you traveled and you have come here, this becomes the present. And if you proceed, or what more do you have to cover, that is there as your future. Future is not in our hands, as we call it. So past is already gone. So what we are in the present tense, what we are speaking about. So present, past and future tense. So these things already we have learned in smaller classes. So let's anyway proceed ahead. What is present tense? Now when we are speaking about tenses, subdivisions of this one, all these things has got, let's say, 4 subparts each. Simple present tense, or rather let's put it simple tense, continuous, perfect continuous. So these are the 4 groups or 4 different parts of S tense. All the 3 tenses has got all those 4 parts. Simple. Now probably you may know another name for what is called simple present tense or simple tense. It is indefinite. Indefinite tense, present indefinite, present continuous is also known as another name. Progressive tense, progressing from the term itself, which is clear. It is progressing from one stage to another. Movement is there, progressing, and perfect continuous. So like that 4 we have put. Now let us go one by one. Simple present or indefinite tense. Now what is simple present tense? Speaking about simple present tense or indefinite tense. Now literally speaking, when we are speaking about this one, it is the base form of something, base form of the verb. So let's say the verb as it is, without any addition. Generally we form simple present tense, maybe let's say by adding s or es, or just as it is. So that is we call about simple present tense. Usages of simple present tense. Now very often I have heard people saying, sir, we know what it is, but we don't know where to use, how it has to be used. Now there are various places where we have to use present tense, simple present tense, and that does not mean that these tenses only can be used at that time. As we are going further in this topic, we will see that a sentence can be written in many ways, depending upon the way in which we have to use the structure or what we are using. Maybe simple present tense we may be using, present continuous tense we may be using. So in that way we can, or even maybe future tense actions, depending upon what we are going to say. So different usages are there. We will be seeing one by one what are the different usages of all these tenses or the subdivisions of that. So let us move on to usages of simple present tense. To express universal truths and situations or facts that are permanent. So first thing, universal truth. What do you mean by universal truth? So before going, maybe it may be nice that we say what is meant by universe. We are part of this universe, entire world. Now when we say about universal truth that are same, when we say something objective truth, means wherever you are, that will have no change. The truth that we speak, maybe it is correct here, you go to some other country and you speak there, that is correct there also, that is applicable there, be it in India, be it in USA, be it in Germany or anywhere be it. Wherever you speak, this sentence or this fact, it remains same. It will have no change depending upon the person used or place used, no change. That we call it as universal truth, a truth that is permanent everywhere. Something that will not change depending upon the individual use or situations or fact that are permanent. These are permanent. Those qualities that cannot change. That statement that cannot change. Certain statement what we speak that cannot be changed, that will remain forever. Let us take some of the examples related to that one. So here I have given honey is sweet. If you speak the quality of honey, you don't get anywhere any other taste for honey. If it is original honey, it will be sweet. You taste it from anywhere. Wherever you go, wherever you keep it, but you take the quality of honey when you say it is sweet. The sweetness is the speciality that makes. So just because of I said honey is sweet or somebody else, no, it is the fact. It will not change. Fortune favors the brave. The typical statement what we get here, very often we hear that hot air rises and cold air descends. So these are generally applicable things. Hot air, it is a nature that wherever it is there, hot air naturally, as it becomes light, it goes up. The cold one, naturally it will come down. So that is a process that is taking place. So in this kind of things, this kind of fact, these facts are true everywhere. Wherever you go, it is correct. It is applicable, generally applicable everywhere. Man is mortal. Now when I say man is mortal from here, does not mean that it is applicable only here or only for me or those who are listening to me. Now this statement, man is mortal, that is applicable everywhere. Wherever you are. If you are a human being, it is liable that you will die one day. Or even we may say that that is the only fact that we know about human beings. If you are born, one day you will die. So much certain thing is, there is nothing else we can say. So this is a universal fact. It is a universal truth that a man who is born one day will die one day. So these are the fact what we say. So this is one of the places or usages where we use what is called simple present tense. The usage, first usage of simple present tense to express a universal truth. To express a habitual action. Habitual action, I think, does not require any explanation for habitual action. We are all so much involved in this one. Every one of us has got something or other habit. We have got so many habits, maybe good habit, maybe bad habits, negative maybe, but we do have some type of habits. So when we want to express those habits, we may use simple present tense. Because this is a habit which we do every day. Let's take an example. This is a common example which I have given. He drinks tea every morning. So this is an activity this person does every day. Irrespective of day or month or any of those things, as soon as he gets up, he drinks tea every morning. So this is his habit. So we call it as a habitual activity, habitual action. My school starts at 7 a.m. This is a regular activity what happens. We don't have class one day at 7 o'clock, next day at 7:30, then at 8 o'clock, then 6:30. No, it is not that. We have what system is existing. So we use it that Ram goes to market every day. That is his habit. Maybe people, those who do exercise regularly, so they exercise daily. So these are all their habits, things or activity which we do every day. Very often what we do, those things we call it as a habitual action. So many habits we have got. So one of those things, when we want to express that habitual action to somebody else, we use this tense. So now we know where to use. So first we said habitual action. First we said universal or facts that are permanent. Second place we have got the so-called habitual actions. So two things we said, universal truth and habitual action. To express the present action. So what is present action? An action that is going on, maybe at the very present moment. I teach English. So that can be taken. We study grammar. If I ask you a question, those are sitting right in front there. What are you doing there? We learn grammar. So this very same sentence can be used in another way. We are learning. But in simple present tense, we can just use it that. See, here I have mentioned that one. We are studying grammar now at this very moment. So still we use that one. What is called? We study grammar. So action at the moment, express the present action. We use simple present tense. So when we want to convey something, actually that is taking place, we can use it either in the present continuous tense or in this format. That is called simple present tense. He works in a school. So another activity at present, maybe today may not be there, but the duration of it is going on. So he works in a school. Maybe teacher, he teaches in a school. So all those activities, when we want to express, we use simple present tense. The child runs. Activity, present activity, the child runs. So we said about three aspects or three usages of simple present tense. If you recall once again, let's take it so that by the end of the last one when we study all the other things, it should be in our mind. First we said universal truth or facts that are permanent, situations that are permanent, universal truth. Then we spoke about habitual actions. Then third one we spoke about express the present action, activities of the present time. So we said three aspects or three different usages of simple present tense. Fourth one here given. To express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. Future actions. It is not necessary that we need to use a future tense there. We can use it, but it is already, I am not speaking about a long future activity, but an activity which is about to take place in the near future. Maybe in the evening what is going to take place, or next morning, next week, or even after maybe 1 or 2 months it may be there. But it is already fixed to take place in the near future. We know that it is going to happen. It is part of our timetable. It's already set. Therefore, we use simple present tense. I hope you are getting what I am speaking. So we said to express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. It's already arranged to take place. So what are some of those? The next flight is at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. We know that if we have booked a flight ticket, we know that when is the next flight is about to take off. So we will say the next flight is at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that is certain thing. The train leaves at 5:20 p.m. That is another time. We know it is arranged. We know that railway timing is it is fixed. It has to take place. It will start at the fixed time. So therefore, the train leaves at 5:20 p.m. So when all these things which are already set, we are sure that these things are going to take place at a definite time in the near future, we can use it in the simple present tense. So fourth rule what we said was to express events that is part of a fixed timetable, something that is about to take place which are already fixed. So we said four aspects, four usages, universal truth. Then second one we said about habitual action, express activities of the present one. Now we said future events which are fixed to take place in the near future. Next one. In exclamatory sentences beginning with here and there, that's important, beginning with here and there. These two words generally we use it. So exclamatory sentences beginning with here and there, we use simple present tense. Certain exclamation, not only exclamation maybe, but these exclamations we use. For example, here comes the bus, or excitement, maybe we have been waiting for something. There goes something. Maybe because of carelessness we missed out something. So there goes it. Or there she goes. Maybe we might have been waiting for some heroes or heroines, somebody eagerly waiting, and without our notice we see that person is going there. So with our excitement we exclaim, there goes she. Here comes our favorite hero, maybe there. We are all hero worship, we are all in front. So suppose if somebody comes there, that expression comes there. Here comes such a person. There goes. So we spoke about fifth one, that is exclamatory sentences starting with here and there. To quote others. So whenever we want to take a quotation, whenever we want to speak about an author who has spoken something, and we are all expert in that one, we are doing that one, we take quotations wherever we are writing, maybe in giving a speech, we take quotes from different authors. So whenever we are taking the quotes, we generally use it, whether that person is alive or dead, we use it in the present tense. So here example we say, let's take, I have taken two quotes here, one from Shakespeare and one from Keats, John Keats. So now here, Shakespeare says, life is nothing but a walking shadow. He speaks about life. Rather, let me say, he spoke about his version of life. He spoke about it when he was alive, so many years ago. But still, you say, Shakespeare says, life is nothing but a walking shadow. We never said life was nothing. Just because he was at that time, he said this one. No, we don't say. But whenever we quote, we take his words, and when we say that one, we use it in the simple present tense. We use it at that time. He says, Shakespeare says, life is nothing. We don't use even Shakespeare said. We can use it as this taking his quotes. He says, life is nothing but walking shadow. Shakespeare again, if we say take from another drama, maybe if we say another example, if we take Shakespeare said, cowards die many times before their death. He says, cowards die many times before their death. And here John Keats, let's say what he says. Again, he says, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It is his quotation, it is his words. We are just taking his words as he said. He says, so simple present tense is used. So these are the sixth rule or something what we said, what is called usages of simple present tense. In conditional clauses. What do you mean by conditional clauses? So when we speak about conditional clauses, so let me tell you about condition. When we speak about something, when we speak to our friends, we put a lot of conditions. So many conditions. If you do this, if you help me, I will help you back. So these are the ways in which we generally talk to our friends. So now when we are speaking in conditional sentences, we can say, if he works hard, condition is put. If he works hard, he will succeed. That is one example given here. If he works hard, the sentence, works hard, he will succeed. Unless he runs, he will not reach on time. A condition is put. What is a condition put for him? So it is a condition is kept there. If he has to reach on time, he has to run. So unless he runs, he will not reach on time. With verbs of perception like see, hear, smell, taste, feel, etc. So this is another usage what we are seeing. I see her enjoying every moment of her life. I see her. This is something which we may have to keep. We seldom use, or rather we never use I am seeing. I see. There are reasons that we will be coming about that one. We will be seeing that one. So here it is said, I see her enjoying every moment of her life. The rose smells sweet. So another aspect about rose flower we used it. So because of this verb, see, hear, smell, taste, all these verbs we generally don't use in the continuous form. Therefore we use it in the simple present tense. He feels for the poor. His condition, he feels for the poor, he understands, he feels. We don't use he is feeling for the poor. No, generally we use he feels. Suppose if we say, so far what we said, basically we have spoken about 8 usages. Now I have just brought out all these 8 aspects or 8 usages what we have said so far. Let's analyze once again. So first we said to express universal truth and situations or the fact that are permanent. Things that are permanent. To express a habitual action. Then third one, to express the present action, something that is going on at the moment. To express future events, that is part of a fixed timetable. To show something that is part of a fixed timetable which maybe in the future it is taking place, but we know that it is already set to take place in the near future. So these are the base, some of the 4 things, and there are 4 more things we can say. In exclamatory sentences beginning with here and there. To quote others whether living or dead. In conditional clauses, so we said about conditions. Then the last one we said with verbs of perception like see, hear, smell, taste, feel, etc. These are the 8 things or 8 aspects or 8 usages of simple present tense what we have to know. I hope it is clear for you. So you will have to practice these things. You may have to use these, learn these rules so that it will be in your mind, so that whenever you want to use what tense has to be used in this condition. If I have to take quotations, how I love to use it. So under various situations, you will be able to use different type of tenses. Moving further on to the next one, let's see what it is. Before going to the next part of present tense, we shall say something more. So present continuous or progressive tense. Progressive tense, as I said in the beginning introduction, I said continuous tense. Continuous tense has got another one more name, that is progressive tense. What do you mean by continuous or progressive tense? What is actually by continuous or progressive? Progressing from one stage, it is moving ahead. Continuing an activity that is going on. An activity that is going on. At present, you are learning. I am teaching. So these are activities, continuity is going on there. So such kind of expression, when we want to put forward, we use it continuous tense. First usage. It is used for an action going on at the time of speaking. So when it is at the time of speaking, an action going on at the time of speaking, when I am doing at this very particular moment, what are you doing? You are learning something. You are learning English grammar. She is singing. Maybe some person sitting down right at this moment and singing a song. So an activity going on. She is singing. The boys are playing hockey. At present, those people are doing. You will ask somebody, where is that particular person? Sir, he is playing cricket. Whatever may be. He is writing. So many things. Someone is knocking at the door. So we may be taking class. Somebody comes and knocks there. Who is knocking on the door? Who is knocking? So someone is knocking at the door. Look there, the man is beating the child. Somebody is beating the child. Look there, you have seen something and you're telling an activity is going on. He is beating the child. So activities, those are going on while we are speaking. At present activity that is proceeding ahead. Second action or second usage. For a temporary action that may not be going on at the time of speaking. So far what I said was an activity that is going on at the time of speaking. At the very time, very moment when I was speaking. Now this is another continuity of action is there. But that may not be taking place at the time of speaking. When I am speaking, this activity may not be taking place. But in a gradual process it is going on. Let us take, he is teaching English at Pune University. Now we are speaking about a professor who is a lecturer or a professor, let's put it. He is teaching English at Pune University. Now we know, as we know, due to this lockdown condition, maybe somewhere else, he may not be going to the university, he may not be teaching, but when we ask, he said, I am teaching. When this problem is over, he will continue. He was teaching. At present, he is not teaching, but an activity which is going on, the process of lockdown, it is going on. So, an activity that is going on, it may not be actually taking place at the time of speaking. At the moment, actually be teaching at the moment of speaking. So, when we said about this person is not teaching at this very moment, but he is a professor. He is a teacher, so he is teaching. I am reading the novel, Nobody's Child. Nobody's Child, name of a novel. These days, after leaving this class, when I reach home, I may start reading that novel. In the morning and evening, I read it. But the very moment when I am speaking, I am not reading that novel. Still, I am reading. Because temporary activities that one, it is going on for a fixed time. So such kind of activities going on for a long time. So we use it present continuous tense to express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. So that is the next rule what we may have to proceed with. To express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. We said about simple present tense also exactly the same thing. My uncle arrives. We know that it is already fixed to take place that uncle arrives on such and such a date. School reopens on such and such a date. We know it is arranged. We can use it in the continuous form as well. So we can use a continuous form here to express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. For example, we are going to Shimla next year. It's already part of our holiday trip. We have already arranged during the next vacation. We will be going to Shimla. So here we are using we are going. It can also be said we will be going, but present continuous tense, it can be easily be used. We are going to Shimla next year because it is already said we are going to do it. I am meeting my uncle tomorrow. So tomorrow something is going to take place because it is already planned. Maybe I have spoken to my uncle. So I am meeting my uncle tomorrow. I am going to cinema tonight. So maybe this evening, tonight I am going. So these are the activities or these are the usages where we can use to express future events that is part of a fixed timetable. We can use present continuous tense. For repeated actions, habitual action we said, now the same way another action, repeated actions, activities that goes on forever. He is always insisting on regularity, insisting on continuity is always a repeated activity. The word shows here always. He is always insisting on regularity. Maybe the principal of the school. He always insists. He is insisting on being regular, being punctual. So that is what it says. He is always insisting on regularity. For repeated actions, we can use in the continuous form. Rahul is constantly talking in the class. Regular activities we can see. I don't know who is Rahul. Maybe some student may be listening now. Rahul is constantly talking, constantly chatting maybe there. So we can see some students going on chatting. He is constantly talking in the class. Teacher is taking class, but the boy is there sitting down and talking. So these are all possible. So these are repeated actions which are going on continuously. So this was the fourth one. We said repeated actions to indicate progressive change, something going ahead, progressive, moving from one place to another. That we use it. My language is improving. The situation is changing these days. We know what are the situation. This is changing. It is improving. Condition is becoming better. So the situation is changing these days. So this also indicate a progressive change, moving from one to another. It is movement is said. So we can use present continuous tense. Now we are speaking about something apart from the usages. Rather, we may have to say not to be used. The following verbs, on account of their meaning, are not normally used in the continuous form. So these verbs which are given here, I have given a long list of verbs that cannot be used. So far I was telling that it can be used in, we are speaking about the continuous tense, continuing, it can be used like this. But here I am speaking about something that cannot be used in the continuous form. Verbs of perception, example, see, hear, smell, notice, recognize. These words we will not use in the present continuous tense. We don't say I am seeing this one. We say I see, I hear, I am hearing something. Very often we hear people using this, but that is a wrong usage. So that cannot be used. So I hear. Maybe some other condition, some other situation we may use it. Not typically as a present continuous tense we don't use. And notice. I notice. I am noticing. No. Verbs of appearing, appear, look, see. Then verbs of emotion, want, wish, wanting. These are all some wrong usages we can hear among the locally speaking people. We have acquired language English, therefore we have a lot of limitations are there, but still we need to make changes from here. Continue from there. Verbs of thinking, think, suppose, believe, agree, consider, trust, remember, forget, know, understand, imagine, mean, mind. These are all again verbs that cannot be used in the continuous form. Have, possession, own, possess, belong to, contain, consist of, except when used in the passive. Now this word have also, quite often people tend to use it in the wrong way. Short form, having. Are you having? No, these are all wrong usages. Very often we hear people use it. Having, I am having. No, I have. So this is the usage supposed to be. I am having, that is quite often used, but it is wrongly used. So we have to use, remember, always remember. I have a pen. Wrong use to use. I am having a pen. No. I have a mobile. I am having a mobile. It is wrong usage. But quite often we do come across this word. Let's observe these sentences. These grapes are tasting sour. See this one. These grapes are tasting sour. I am thinking you are wrong. She is seeming sad. He is having a cell phone. Now this example I used here. Just before I said I am having a cell phone. Now here it is used here. I am having a cell phone. When I said that is not to be used. So all these four sentences what I have used here, these are all wrong sentences. These are all four sentences are wrong usage. Tasting sour cannot be used. These grapes taste sour. That is the usage. These grapes taste sour. I think you are wrong. Not I am thinking you are wrong. I think you are wrong. She is seeming sad. She seems sad. Simply we can use it. She seems sad. Not she is seeming sad. He is having a cell phone. He has a cell phone. Let's see what is given. I have given the answers as well here. These grapes taste sour. I think you are wrong. She seems sad. He has a cell phone. So these, please keep in mind, these words cannot be used in the present continuous form. The present continuous tense or the progressive tense in summary we have taken here. So we have said it is used for action going on at the time of speaking, and we said for temporary actions that may not be taking place at the time of speaking, to express future events that is part of a fixed timetable, for repeated actions to indicate progressive change. So these were some of the usages of present continuous tense. So we spoke about today, we revised what we have studied in the previous class, that was active and passive voice. Then part of that one we studied transitive and intransitive. We spoke about direct object and indirect object. Then passing from there, we started off with tenses, simple present tense. Now we continued with present continuous tense. 8 steps, 8 ways or places where we can use simple present tense, and 5 ways or 5 usages of present continuous tense. These are the things what we have learned today. I hope these things are clear. I am going to stop here for today. Rest we will continue in the next class. Hope you have understood the various usages of this tense.